Okay, welcome to the video about how to make a box and whisker plot. Sometimes we call this just a box plot. So the first thing you need to do is to find the 5-number summary, and we should feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, in order to find the 5-number summary, we need to put the data in order first. Here we have the same data we looked at in class today, the average high temperatures for Burlington, Vermont for the first 19 days of September. So that says that we have 19 pieces of data. I've put the data in order for you. You're very welcome. So what we want to do is mark off the minimum, the maximum, the median, and then find the lower quartile and the upper quartile. Well, let's start with the easy ones. Here's the minimum. Okay? Make sure you're marking these off on your copy as well. Here's the maximum. And now the median is going to be halfway in the middle. If we have 19 pieces of data, I should be able to count 9 in from each side and have the 10th piece right in the middle. So let's just count in from each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I believe this is the 10th piece of data, but let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Here's that middle piece. This is our median. Now, in order to find the lower quartile, what I like to do to really remind ourselves is to cover up, oh, that's funny, cover up from the median and above. So you don't cover beyond the median, cover the median. And then you're going to use your pen, to find the middle of the lower half of data. So if we've covered up 10 pieces of data, we should have 9 pieces left. So I'm going to count 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe that's going to be our middle. 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. So here's the middle of our lower half of data. So this is going to be our lower quartile, also sometimes called the Q1. And if we take our little box here and I cover the median on this side, so I'm covering the median, and I'm looking for the lower half of data on this side. Then I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 in, and it looks like it's going to be here. And we'll just double check 1, 2, 3, 4 in here. So this is going to be our upper quartile, also known as our Q3. So what I would like you to get into the habit of doing, let me move this box out of the way. Whoa. Is to write out your 5-number summary in order from the lowest number to the highest number. So I would say my 5-number summary is, and you can abbreviate that, 58, 66, 72, 80, 84. And so that's how I would list my 5-number summary, from my minimum to our lower quartile, to our median, to our upper quartile, to our maximum. Now that we have the 5-number summary, let's make it into a box plot. So we need to draw and scale a number line. Here's going to be our line that we use. Okay. If we look back at our data for a second, we need to go from 58 to 84. Okay, so we need to remember we're going to go from 58 to 84. I think we probably want to go by 2s. So I'm going to start at 58, 60, 62, 64, 66. I'm doing my best I can to try and make sure these is evenly spaced out. 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, 86. So I think we're fine there. We want to mark off the 5-number summary then. Okay, so let me go back in. So it's 58, 66, 72, 80, and 84. So we said, whoops, 58, oh, I'm forgetting now, 66, 72, 66, 72, 80, and 84. 80 and 84. So 58, I'm going to mark off my minimum at 58. 66 is right here. 72 is right here. 80 and 84. And then I'm going to connect the lower quartile to the upper quartile. And I'm going to draw the line out to my whiskers, my minimum and my maximum. Now, hopefully this part has been a review for you. You've made box plots before. The new part maybe, or maybe this is review as well, how do we analyze this data? What we want to look at is if we had all of our 19 pieces of temperature data broken up into 4 quarters. This is the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. And so what we can see is that the first quarter of data is more spread out because this line is longer than the upper quarter of data. So that means this data is more clustered. Okay. We can see that this quarter is a little bit more clustered than this quarter here. The other important thing about box plots is they show that 50% of the data is in the IQR, right, the interquartile range from, in this case, 66 to 80, which would be an IQR of 14. So 50% of the data is within 14 degrees of each other. So that means September was relatively clustered, the temperature data. Okay, we had a maximum at 84 and we had a minimum at 58. So it's one thing to look at a box plot by itself, but it's really most useful when you can compare 2 box plots on the same number line. We have some Mustang ratings. This is the car ratings, analyzing things like cargo space and fuel efficiency and so forth. And then Miata ratings, and we want to compare these 2 cars. You can see the box plots together right here. I want to show you how I got those with the graphing calculator. So I'm going to pull up the calculator. What I've done is I went to Stat and Edit, and you can see in List 1 and List 2, I have entered the Mustang ratings and the Miata ratings in List 1 and List 2. And then in my stat plot, I've turned plot 1 on. Let's show you what that looks like. Turned it on, indicated that I wanted to make a box plot, and made sure that was in List 1. And if I go back to my stat plot and look down at plot 2, I've turned plot 2 on as well, indicated that I want a box plot. And I've made sure that that's my list 2 data. So that's the Miata ratings. Adjusted my window to show from 0 to 12 for my X scale, and then up to 15 so that I have room to show both box plots. So then when we show graph, this is our 2 box plots. List 1 is going to be on top. Those are our Mustang ratings. And list 2 are our Miata ratings down below. Now, if you're not sure what these ratings are, you want to get the 5-number summary. An easy thing to do is to hit trace. And if you just hit the arrows back and forth, it tells us a median of 8, our lower quartile of 1, our minimum of 4 for the Mustang. And what's interesting here is we have a median, or excuse me, an upper quartile of 9 and a maximum of 9. That's why there's no whisker on this upper end. If I go my down arrow, I have a maximum of 9 here as well, but a lower quartile of 8.5, a median of 8. Here we have our an upper quartile of 8.5, a lower quartile of 6, and a minimum of 3. When we compare these, I'm going to go back to our main screen here so we can compare them. When we compare them here, we want to look at the spread of the data. You can see that the Mustang, the Mustang, which is on top, it has a smaller spread because it has the same maximum and then has a lower, or excuse me, a higher minimum. So it's a smaller spread, so the data is all closer together. It also has most of its ratings clustered in the 8 to 9 range. See how they're clustered up here? This is smaller here, whereas the Miata has a slightly larger spread, has a lower minimum, still has a fair amount of data clustered in the 8 to 9 range, and then the rest are more spread out. So if I ask the question, which car is better, okay, you could use some of the data here to say, well, the Mustang, they have the same maximum, so you can't necessarily use a maximum as part of this, but the Mustang has most of its data above the median in the 8 to 9 range, or half the data, excuse me, and has a smaller spread. The Miata has half its data in the 8 to 9 range as well, but has a lower minimum and is more spread out in the lower quartile, so that maybe that means it has some more ratings down there. Box plots are most useful when you can compare two or more. If you wanted to show a third car rating, you would have entered the data into list 3 and opened another plot, plot 3, and then you'd have a third car rating down here. Let's make sure that you get the box plot word into your data displays vocabulary sheet and show a little picture so that you can remember what it looks like. And we will be practicing this more in class.